Regretlyss is a solo traveler accustomed to the open road, but the desolation of the Texas panhandle forced her into an urban stopover. She sought the perceived safety of a business parking lot, only to find herself walking directly into a predator's path.
Hello again. Where did we leave off? Oh yeah, I was enjoying a restful night at my campsite with free hookups in no man's land.
We are, for sure, in the middle of nowhere. For sure.
You ready? The next day, I got back on the road. I have a lot of ground to cover to make it to North Carolina and needed to keep it moving. At this point, Texas had swallowed me whole. I'm still in what the locals call the Midwest of Texas. Northwest Texas, to be exact. It's rough, tough, and not somewhere you want to be for long. As I told you last time, I know firsthand how dangerous this section of drive can be, so I decided for my next stop, I'd find a Harvest Host rather than Boondock. For those of you who don't know, Harvest Host is an online membership where local businesses offer overnight parking for patroning their store.
She traded the isolation of no man's land for what she thought was the security of civilization. A Harvest Host location seemed harmless enough, a place to rest and do laundry. But as she pulled into the gritty streets of Northwest Texas, the atmosphere shifted. The town felt heavy. The streets were watching.
So I literally just took Rio outside to go walk around the block to check out the laundromat, and I'm already getting catcalled. It's so frustrating, especially now. The way I'm traveling, it's just like, ugh. Makes me feel uneasy. I just hate cities, urban areas. And I now, Rio, come on.
A simple walk with her dog spiraled into a nightmare. It started with a voice, a cat call, standard but unwanted. Then the dynamic changed. He didn't just look. He followed. He turned when she turned. The realization hit her like a cold wave. He was hunting her. She had to force herself to walk away from her bus, circling the block desperately to ensure he didn't see where she slept.
Pause right there. What is not shown is my small mental breakdown. I was so angry that some man had the audacity to follow me and infringe upon my boundaries. I was angry that as a solo woman, I don't have the same right to safety as when I traveled with a man. I cried out of pure frustration. I looked around the area to find other camping. The only other options had sketchy reviews by fellow nomads. All I wanted to do was get the hell out of there. But I knew the best thing was to draw as little attention to me as possible and just lay low. So I sent my coordinates to a close friend so they knew where I was, locked myself in, and tried to block out the noise coming from the bar I was parked behind. I was stressed, angry, but more prepared to protect myself than ever.
She made it back inside, but the feeling of safety was shattered. Rage and terror took over. She locked every door. She blocked out the world. Outside, the noise of a nearby bar masked the potential approach of an intruder. She was trapped in a dark metal box in a city known for violent crime, paralyzed by the knowledge that she was alone.
Back home on the road. This is where I feel safest. The world becomes mine and my mind begins to flow. It's almost a form of meditation, therapy even for me. I stopped to get my new tire, which made me feel more confident about the journey ahead. I even had a dream it popped, so I wasn't taking any chances. With every mile that morning, I felt more at ease. It's crazy, the contrast I can experience in one day living in the bus. Waking up in a dark, sketchy place to driving through the peaceful countryside.
Sunrise brought the only solution: escape. She fled the city limits before the town fully woke up, putting miles of asphalt between her and the man who tracked her. As the Texas countryside opened up, the grip of fear loosened, but the lesson remained. Safety is an illusion, and intuition is the only weapon that matters. One viewer said, "The whole being stalked and catcalled is something we men have no way to relate to."
I decided to park overnight at a different Cracker Barrel across the town, which seemed a little quieter with good Google reviews. The restaurant began closing and the parking lot slowly began emptying until I found myself alone in the middle of making dinner. It was totally...
The scariest night of her van-dwelling life began at a Cracker Barrel parking lot. The spot seemed safe, quiet, well-reviewed, perfect for the night. As the restaurant closed, the lot emptied, leaving her completely alone making dinner. Then came an alarming knock on her van door.
Okay, so I'm safe right now, but I just had my first knock on the door. That was not the cops. Being alone, I was in the middle of cooking dinner, so I had my cooktop out, propane hose attached and everything, and then he's just bangs on my side door right here. I first turn off all the lights, turn all the sounds off so I can hear what's going on in case it is the cops and I need to talk to them. It wasn't, and then he banged on this door right here, the double doors, and that's when I got really nervous. He was complaining about a girl that worked at the Cracker Barrel and, it broke her heart and thought that...
A man was outside, trying to break in. When she refused, he began harassing her with absurd, threatening demands. He banged violently on her doors, insisting his ex-girlfriend from Cracker Barrel was hiding inside. His delusion made him even more dangerous.
It's hard talking to people that are inebriated. Really hard to get through to someone that is on drugs and they're just not there. They're just fully engulfed with a dark spirit of some sort that is not allowing them to see clearly. And I feel for them, but, not at the cost of my own safety. So, oh my God. So when he continued to not leave and was trying to go to every door of the van, I quickly unhooked my propane, put, some things away, made sure my drawer was closed, and then drove down.
The inebriated man was impossible to reason with. She was trapped inside with an aggressive stranger pounding on her van, and no one else around to help. Realizing the danger, she quickly unhooked her propane tank and drove away while he was still outside.
I didn't really have time to put my stove away, so I just drove very slowly, and that's one of the things that kind of is a bummer with the van, is that I don't have a stove top that is in the counter. But yeah, so I got around the corner, called the cops, and then from there I drove about 10 miles up the road. I didn't speak to the cops in person. I felt safe enough. I did leave a description. Yeah, I'm a little bit shaken up right now. But also I've been able to calm myself. I am now at a place where there are other RVs. Before, there weren't any RVs at all, no other person in the parking lot. I mean, I have all my weapons on me. I feel like I didn't want to use any of it. I have pepper spray, knife, and then some other things.
She drove half a mile before safely securing her stove, then called the police. Though deeply shaken, she found a new parking spot with other RVs nearby. Safety in numbers. She kept her pepper spray and knife close.
The plan is just to get out of this city. It's unfortunate, but there are so many night walkers.
Her plan was clear. Get out of this city immediately. The area had too many nightwalkers, and she no longer felt safe. One viewer appreciated her sharing this experience, commenting, "It's so important that you shared this, otherwise, everyone has a warped view of just the glorious part of van life." Thank you so much, as you'll help others stay safe. Glad you listened to your intuition and left the situation. The stranger at the door. The scariest moment occurs when a man suddenly appears at the RV screen door, making the solo female traveler feel uneasy and threatened. He attempts to get her to come outside and appears to be looking inside her RV, creating an intense and frightening situation.
I'm a full-time, solo, female traveler. And the scariest thing that has ever happened to me on the road just happened about 3 months ago. And I have been torn since then on whether or not I should tell you guys about it. But something really shocking happened after the fact. And I've decided just to keep it real and tell you guys all about it. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's Robin with Creativity RV. I hope you're all doing well out there. I'm doing great. As you can see, I am traveling in my little baby Airstream as a solo female, and I've been on the road now for 7 years. And so in that time, of course, I've seen a couple of sketchy things happen. But if you guys follow my channel, you know that RV life literally saved me, that this has been the best thing I've ever done. So I'm always kind of reticent to tell people when scary things happen, because, you know, I want people to know that this is a viable way to live their life, and it's rad, and that I love it. I've done a couple of videos in the past, you know, talking about somebody taking pot shots over my head or getting the knock on the door, but most of the time, the things that have scared me on the road were things I caused myself, like going down the wrong road. But that was not the case about 3 months ago when I was camping near the Superstition Mountains, just between Apache Junction, Arizona and Superior, Arizona. Halfway in between, I could go to the Planet Fitness on one side and work out and take a shower, and go to the Boyce Thompson Arboretum to hike on the other side, which I fell in love with. But when I drove in to this area, I did not love it. Now, I'll tell you guys that I didn't keep my dash cam footage from them. So I'm going to show you some other footage from another YouTuber who showed the entryway into this camping area. Now, this is Arizona State Trust land. You're supposed to have a permit, but nobody does. You drive through kind of a suburban area, and then once you get in there, it's like RVs and schoolies everywhere, and they don't leave. They are not just there for the 14 days. And on top of that, this is near the Peralta Road trailhead, which is really popular. So there's ATVers and hikers.
Realization of vulnerability. After the encounter, the traveler reflects on her mistakes that left her vulnerable. She had her back to an open screen door with loud music playing, making it easy for someone to approach undetected. This realization heightens her sense of danger and the seriousness of the situation.
People on horseback, and it's really, really crowded. Well, I found a little plateau to camp on that was between about 6 other people. We were all cramped in there. There was room for about 1 other rig right next to me. And originally I was hooked up in my camper, and people kept trying to like horn in on that space. I thought another friend of mine was coming to camp with me. So I unhooked my car and faced it the opposite direction, so I was not hooked up, to leave. Let the comments begin. There were some tent campers right next to me, and down the hill there were a bunch of other RVers. And, you know, here's the first thing I did wrong. I've been on the road a long time, and I think I just got a little comfortable, especially since there were a lot of other people around. So I was standing right where I am now. I was working at the kitchen, filming actually me chopping some vegetables because I'm doing a video on how to extend your food, and the music was blaring.
Trusting her instincts. She emphasizes the critical importance of trusting her gut feeling about the stranger. Even though she later discovers a possible innocent explanation for his presence, She stands by her decision to listen to her instincts. The experience serves as a powerful reminder that safety should always come first when traveling solo. One viewer, at Bunny the Bull Sky, commented, "As women, we always need to listen to our sixth sense. Being polite could find you 6 under. You did the right thing. Stay strong, stay independent, and enjoy your freedom."
And the door was open, but the screen door was shut. Behind the music, I hear a male voice go, "Hello." And I turned around, and there was a dude standing outside my screen door, just looking in at me. This dude did not look like a camper. It was the desert.
The creator is jolted awake by knocking on her van at 4:30 a.m. She feels unsafe and confused. Who would be out here at this hour? The knocking is deliberate, insistent, coming from right outside her van in the darkness.
Somebody's back here again. I hear footprints. Hello? How can I help you?
I have a question for you.
It's 4:30 in the morning. I don't feel safe. Who are you? So, it's now 4:57, but at 4:37, so like 20 minutes ago, I was in a dead sleep. And I was woken from a knock, like right where my head is, ironically. So I was like frozen. I looked at the time and it was very strange to me, like who would be knocking on the van at 4:30 in the morning. So by the second knock, I believe it was second, could be the third knock, and they would knock 3 times every time.
About 15 minutes later, another knock. This time the person asks a question through the van wall. She sees headlights illuminating the area before the person finally leaves, but the unease remains.
About 15 minutes later, I hear it again, like a knock on the side of my van again. How can I help you? And they say, I got a question for you. And I said, it's 4:30 in the morning. I don't feel safe. And so I quietly got up and I went to the front and I peeked out and parked way up on the drive. All I could see is like headlights, and then they backed out and went and left.
Then she hears footsteps circling the van again. Peering out, she sees someone walking on foot who suddenly hides behind a tree, then gets into a car and drives away. Someone has been watching her all along.
And I did. I hear footprints. Hear that? Yeah, somebody was just here again 3 times now. The third time I looked out, they were walking on foot. I seen them walking and they hid behind the tree there. And then they went to a car, the same car that was here earlier. Well, that was back, and then it backed away and left again. 3 times in one night. This time, they didn't knock, though. They were just walking around. I could hear them walking.
When morning comes, the true horror is revealed. She finds large footprints all around her van and 2 spilt water bottles near her doors. Proof that someone was actively tampering with her belongings while she slept inside, vulnerable and alone.
So I come out this morning and you can see footprints. Look at this one. This is mine. I'll show you. There's mine. See? Right here. Look. Somebody spilled 2 of my water bottles right there. 8 liters of water gone, but I don't know why. I don't know why they were, look, see? And then over here, These are like literally footprints. I never go there. If I collect my snow, I go right on this path and I cross over here, and that's my spot right there. But look, they were actually, there's some more. Look at that. They came here, they were standing here, as you can see. Look at the footprints though, look at that. That's massive. See that? Like, this worries me, like, oh my God. Yeah, this has me really concerned. Nothing's here because it's all melted already.
The worst part? The feeling of being watched. The knocking occurred near where she sleeps, meaning the person knew exactly where she was inside the van. They knew she was there. One viewer commented, "Always trust your gut. I have been in this situation a time or two. I didn't say a word, got in the driver's seat, and left. It's a dangerous world we live in nowadays. Stay safe."
In there, so I feel like I'm being watched, and I just got to be a little bit more careful. Well, looks like a nice sunny day. Good morning. Go away, cloud. One puffy big cloud. Just come on. Yeah, right. I think it's going to be like 20 degrees today with cloudy periods, but whoa, when the sun comes out, boy, it feels a lot hotter than 20 degrees, let me tell you. It's so beautiful. And that's why I parked my van in the sun and not under the willow tree now, because it's free heating. Oh, there goes the sun. And I say, there's my friend Dean. There's my friend Dean. I see him just go by. Okay. That wasn't so bad. I'm gonna put me on the YouTube. So it's about 9:30 in the morning now, and I am going to try and make a video because I don't know how much sunnier it's going to be, because it's supposed to be an overcast all day. I see a lot of clouds over there, but I don't know which way the wind is blowing or which direction it's going, so kind of like me. Okay, but anyways, yeah, the weather has been like, one day you need to put on a parka, and the next day you got to get into your swimsuit. It's like that time of year, and so thank God I, you know, was procrastinating.
The video recounts several unsettling encounters a van dweller experienced while living on the road.
Go away, cloud. One puffy big cloud. Just come on. Yeah, right. I think it's going to be like 20 degrees today with cloudy periods, but whoa, when the sun comes out, boy, it feels a lot hotter than 20 degrees, let me tell you. It's so beautiful. And that's why I parked my van in the sun and not under the willow tree now, because it's free heating. Oh, there goes the sun. And I say, there's my friend Dean. There's my friend Dean. I see him just go by. Okay. That wasn't so bad. I'm gonna put me on the YouTube. So it's about 9:30 in the morning now, and I am going to try and make a video because I don't know how much sunnier it's going to be because it's supposed to be an overcast all day. I see a lot of clouds over there, but I don't know which way the wind is blowing or which direction it's going, so kind of like me. Okay, but anyways, yeah, the weather has been like one day you need to put on a parka, next day you got to get into your swimsuit. It's like that time of year, and so thank God I, you know, was procrastinating.
A man approaches her van and tries to communicate via Google Translate. He then moves his car around her van for over an hour, blocking her in and staring. Hours later, when it's pitch black, he returns.
A lot, but I went and got my propane tank filled up, 11-pound propane tank. I filled that up so that I can have my catalytic heater for the nights when it drops to, it has dropped to like 1 degree, and it's, woo, pretty damn cold, let me tell you. So yeah, I'm happy I got my catalytic heater going. I've had to use it a few times already, and I don't feel as comfortable with it as I do my ceramic heater, but it is what it is, you know. There's pros and cons to it. The con of having, you know, a ceramic heater is that I have to be hooked up to, you know, shoreline power, and, you know, it usually comes with conditions, and I don't like that. So having my cat...
A narcissistic man sits directly in front of her open van door, talking to a kid. He later returns with his pregnant girlfriend, pretending not to know the van dweller while his girlfriend attempts to mark her territory.
Heater, I'm free to roam and free to go wherever I want, and I have nobody, you know, watching me and trying to control me, and you get it. I'm all set to go. I just don't know when I'm going to be heading out on the road. I really don't know what I'm doing. There has been so many occasions where guys have just been so sketchy. Yeah, I'll tell you a few. So
while parked at Walmart in the middle of the afternoon, a kid suddenly peeks into her van.
I'm actually in Beauharnois Canal, and I have got my side door open like I always do, but I kind of have it so that people have no reason, they have absolutely no reason to walk on the side of my van so that they can look in it or anything, unless they want to be known.
At one and in an otherwise empty parking lot, a man drives a remote control car around her van, creating an eerie and unsettling atmosphere. One viewer commented, "The universe had your back. Those were all scary situations." Anyone who comes that close to your van has bad intentions. I'm glad you are safe. Allison Sharp is a solo traveler who relies on a strict set of rules to stay safe, often hiding in plain sight within hotel parking lots. But in Columbia, South Carolina, her carefully constructed safety net unraveled into a night of paranoia.
Tired. I usually stay up for a few minutes and just kind of listen to my surroundings and kind of peek out the windows coverings like I just did 1 or 2 more times, just to like make sure that there's no one walking around or security rolling up on me or whatever, and then I go to sleep. Everything's locked up and I'm ready for bed, but that's what I'll be doing for at least 1 or 2, 5 more minutes. Good night.
The ritual is always the same. Park, blackout curtains drawn, lights killed, total silence. Allison sat in the pitch black of her van, waiting. She wasn't sleeping, she was listening, testing the environment to ensure she hadn't been seen. The silence was heavy, comforting, until it wasn't.
Somebody's knocking.
The darkness was violated by a sound every solo dweller dreads. Knock. Knock. It wasn't a branch hitting the roof or the wind. It was deliberate. Someone was standing inches from her head. Someone knew she was inside.
Happened. That's the first time in hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of hotel parking lots that I ever got the knock, and I hadn't even fallen asleep. I had just, like I said, just sat there and listened for a few minutes. It hadn't even been 5 minutes since I turned off the camera when I heard that knock. Now, normally, if it was like, I don't know, if it was in the middle of the night, I would probably not have answered because of safety and because they wouldn't have known that I was in there. But since they saw me pull up and park, then they were like, bro, no. That's the car that was parked behind me. So when I pulled up and turned and parked, that car was parked there with their lights on. But it's a regular car. It wasn't like a security car. So it looked like two dudes, which I couldn't really see.
When she peered out, the reality was more unsettling than a random stranger. It was a security guard, but he had stepped out of an unmarked civilian sedan with another man inside. They hadn't just patrolled past her. They had been sitting there in the dark, watching her pull in, watching her hide, and waiting for the perfect moment to let her know she was never actually hidden. One viewer commented, "Too stressful to live like this. I need an apartment, and definitely a bedroom indoors. Stay safe. You're very sweet."